This is Mr. Elmhorst with the help video for the 6th grade advanced math homework for solving the equations with distributive property. So we take a look at the first one. So the factor of 3 is going to be distributed through this group inside the parentheses. So first we have 3 times x and then 3 times 5. So after we distribute it, then we need to go through our inverse operations, which would be and then following the order of operations in reverse. So I like to draw the arrow down. So we do the flow down with the left side and the right side of the equal sign. And when we change the left side of the equation to balance it out, we need to change the right side equally. So order of operations in reverse. First, we're going to take care of the adding 15, and then second, we're going to take care of the multiplying of 3x. We're going to subtract 15 from both sides. So that will cancel the adding of 15 to the variable. Then we bring 3x down to step 2, and then 18 minus 15 will give us 3. So that was step 1. Now we're going to move on to step 2. 3 is multiplying x, so we're going to divide both sides by 3 as the inverse, so we can isolate the variable x by itself. So now we have x on the left side equal to 3 divided by 3, which is going to be 1. So just showing the two-step process as we go down through this. Continue on with number 2. First, we're going to distribute the factor outside the parentheses to each one of the terms inside the parentheses. So first we have negative 5 times x, which we'll just combine it as a coefficient. And then we've got negative 5 times 10. So this is going to be negative 5 times 10 is going to be a negative 50, which subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. And we just move the negative 35 down. We can also look at this as a negative 5 times a negative 10, which would be a positive 50. So now we're ready to work it down through our two-step process. Starting on the left side, we're going to take care of adding or subtracting first. I'm going to subtract 50 from both sides. Positive 50, my negative 50 is going to cancel. So you're left with negative 5x is equal to 35 negatives, and 50 negatives will give us 85 negatives. So we're done with step 1. Now we'll move on to step 2. Multiplying x by negative 5, where the inverse would be dividing by negative 5, and what we do to one side, we're going to do to the other. So 5 divided by 5 is going to be 1. And negative divided by negative would be positive, so we are left with x by itself, and 85 divided by 5 is going to be 17, and a negative divided by a negative would be positive, or just regular 17. And that was step 2. Number 3, we got 7 times x, which is going to give us 7x, and then we have 7 times 4.9. We may need to work that out on the side. So 7 times 9 is 63, carry the 6. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 6, which is going to give us 34. There's one decimal place value, so we're going to move it over one spot. We're going to bring it over here, so 34 and 3/10. So we're done with the distributive property. Now we're going to go into solving. Subtract 34.3 from both sides. This is going to be step 1. It's going to cancel on the left side, leaving 7x by itself on the left side. And that is equal to 56 minus 34 and 3/10. We're going to have to borrow to subtract. So 10 minus 3 is going to give us 7. 5 minus 4 is going to give us 1. And then 5 minus 3 will give us 2. So now we go to step 2. Divide both sides by 7. 7 divided by 7 will give us 1x. And that will be equal to 21 divided by 7 is 3. And 7 divided by 7 is 1. Number 4, we're going to distribute a fraction through the group. So 2/3 times x will be 2/3 x, and then 2/3 times 13 is going to give us 26. 13 times 2 on top, 26 over 3 is equal to 22. So now that we've distributed it, we're going to flow down, going through our 2-step process. So the opposite of adding 26/3 is going to be subtracting 26/3. And we subtract it from both sides. For step 1. So if we are subtracting 26/3 from both sides, things are going to get a little messy with subtracting 22 minus 26/3. So we're going to back this up and we're going to do something called clearing the fraction. And an easy way, a quick trick to clear the fraction would be to multiply the whole equation by the denominator in order to cancel the denominator out. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So multiplying 2/3 by 3 will get rid of the thirds on bottom. And it would get rid of this here. Now, whatever we do on the left side, if we do it on the right side, we can keep it equivalent. So 3 times 2/3 is going to become 2x. 3 times 26/3 will just become 26. And then 22 times 3 will give us 66. So we added an extra step in there to remove the fraction from the equation. Now we can follow our 2-step process. Instead of subtracting fractions, we can just subtract whole numbers. So now it's going to cancel. We're left with 2x on the left side, and 66 minus 26 will leave us with 40. Then we divide both sides by 2. So now we have x is equal to 40 divided by 2, which is 20. So when we have the fraction within the equation, we can clear that fraction by multiplying by the denominator. So here we have sevenths, and we end up having it on both sides. So we can clear that fraction by multiplying by 7. And we're going to just do it here before we distribute it. So 7 times 7 divided by 7, we're going to be left with negative 4x, or negative 4 on the outside, times x minus 1/4. And this will cancel over here, and then you're left with 3. So looking at the next one, there's still a fraction in there, but this 4, negative 4 on the outside, will end up clearing that fraction on the inside as well. So now we follow our distributive property, negative 4 times x, negative 4x, and then negative 4 times 1/4. So the negative times a negative is going to be positive, and then 4 times 1/4 is going to be 1. So step 1, we cleared the fraction. Step 2, we ended up using the distributive property. Now we can go into the solving part of things. We're going to subtract 1 from both sides. We're left with negative 4x on the left side, and 3 minus 1 is going to be 2. Divide both sides by negative 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Negative divided by negative is positive. So now we're left with x is equal to 2 divided by 4 is going to be simplified to 1/2, and a positive divided by a negative is going to be negative. So here's the 2-step for the solving of the equation. Using the distributive property, we're going to multiply 8.3 times x, which is going to give us 8 and 3/10 x, plus 8.3 times 3.1. So you can work that out here off to the side. Starting with 1, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 8 is 8. When you're done multiplying the first digit, go down below, and we're going to cross that spot out. Now we're multiplying by 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and then 3 times 8 is 24. Going to add these up. Count your decimal place values up above. 1, 2, and then we're going to move it over into our answer. We'll end up with 25.73 is equal to 83. So now we're ready to do our flow down 2-step process for this equation. Subtracting 25.73 from both sides. And it looks like we're going to have to borrow on the right side. So it's going to cancel here. We're left with 8.3 on the left side. 8.3x is equal to, now let's go ahead and subtract this. So going from right to left, we don't have enough all the way across until we get to 8. So we're going to have to borrow all the way across. We're going to end up with 3, 2, 7, and then 7 minus 2 is 5. We're going to divide both sides by 8.3. Now you can estimate here how many times 8 goes into 56. We're left with x on the left side, and 8 goes into 57. Sorry, 8 goes into 57 about 7 times. So you can estimate, guess, and check and see what we get. So 8 times 3 is 21. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 8 is 56. 57, 58. All right, so that is too much. So let's check this. 6 times 3 is going to be 18. 6 times 8 is 48 plus 1 is 49. We do 57.27 divided by 8.3. So we move the decimal over to create a whole number on the outside, and then we move it over one spot on the inside as well. So we estimated that to be about 6 times, and then 6 times 8.3. Let's see, 83. Oh, we have to move it over because the decimal place value. There we go. So 6 times 8.3 is going to give us 4.98. Borrow going across. That's 12. And 16, that's going to give us, I believe 8 is going to go into 94. It looks like that's going to be about 9 times. So let me double check. 9 times 3 is 27, and 9 times 8 is 72 plus 2. Oh, that's supposed to be a 7. There we go. There we go. Okay, and then that's going to give us 74, so that does check out. So x is equal to 6.9.